YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back in an interesting video for you guys today. Something very interesting I came across, an NFL realignment and what it would look like, changing up the divisions, even the conferences. No AFC, NFC, just Western and Eastern based off of location. And we're going to look at it, see how it would change the NFL this year to kind of get an idea who would make it further based on their division. So very interesting. Right before we get started, we have a 40K subscriber goal here by the end of 2020. If you're new to the Goat House, we have recaps every single week for all the games. We have predictions for every single game every week. We got power rankings updated every single week. Plenty more. Full NFL draft coverage, free agency coverage as well. We never stop with the NFL content here. So please subscribe. Click that like button. And there's a Twitter at the top right there. Also a link in the description. Always talking NFL on there. And if you want even more content, we have that on our Patreon, patreon.com/thegoathouse. Link in the description. Updated every week is playoff predictions, score predictions, and NFL mock drafts, part of one package deal. So you get a lot, and you support us as well. Back to the realignments. This is strange. I've never done a video like this. Thought it was very interesting, though. Again, I came across it on Twitter multiple times. I don't know the original source. I wish I could shout that person out, whoever came up with this. Pretty cool. So you see we got a mixture of teams, mixture of NFC and AFC teams in the West and the East. It's just based off location. So I thought it'd be interesting just to see it, just to look at it, see how it would look, but mainly how would it change who's in the playoffs? Things change more than you think. Looking at, for an example, looking at the Southeast Division in the Eastern, Panthers, Jaguars, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Miami Dolphins. Somebody's got to win that division, so that puts a new playoff team in. We can't really rule out the Panthers and the Jags at this point, week 12 of the NFL, but teams are maybe on the unlikely side, so somebody gets in there. But then we see divisions like, look at the Midwest division and the Western. We talk about, some people talk about the NFC North already being the best division in football with the Vikings, Packers, Bears, and Lions. And instead of the Lions, we got the Chiefs. Just think about that division, how good it would be. We see the Bears on top of it last year. It seems for the most part the Packers and the Vikings are up there like this year. And then we add the Chiefs to it. Just absolutely ridiculous. Even the Southwest division right above it, the Texans and the Saints in the same division, and you pull a team that happened to be from their divisions too. The Titans with the Texans, the Falcons with the Saints. Very good division there. And the Pacific division ends up being the same, except for instead of the Cardinals, the Chargers. Makes that division better. It just feels like the Western is still the NFC of this year, and the Eastern is the AFC. The Western is just so much better. And we'll take a look here. Who would be the division winners if it was today's NFL in this division? Obviously not really a realistic thing at all, but just interesting to look at. So there, I highlighted who would be the division winners based off their record, how they're playing this year. The Niners would win that division. The Pacific Rocky Mountains division, odd name. The Raiders would actually win it. We'll talk about the Cowboys in a little bit. They have the same record. Southwest division would be the Saints. So the Texans, who are winning the AFC South, would not be winning the Southwest division. The Saints would be. And obviously it's a battle between the Vikings and the Packers still, just like the NFC North. Even though the Chiefs are in there too, the Packers would be winning it. On the Eastern side, the Patriots, it's basically the same division as the AFC East, except for Giants swap with Dolphins. Not much difference there. So the Patriots still get it easy. Mid-Atlantic division, you see you got two teams from the AFC North, two teams from the NFC East. Ravens, dominant team right now. They win that division if it ended right now. And that Southeast division, which I brought up, somebody's got to win that division. The Panthers would be winning that division right now. And look at how far they are behind the Saints right now in real life, in the real NFL. And they have that division, somewhat easily right now. So that locks them into the playoffs. And you look at the Central division, the Browns, Bengals, and Lions, very underwhelming. And then you got the Colts, who, their year could be a little better right now. They walk away with that division pretty easily, too. So you kind of see what happens if you just shift around the divisions a little bit. And then who would be the wild card teams? The wild card teams, well, you see in the Western, it's the same as the NFC. The Seahawks would be the 5 seed. The Vikings would be the 6 seed. Same exact. And then the Eastern, the Bills, even though they're in the Patriots division just like real life, they still squeeze in. And the Eagles would make it in right now on the outside looking in because they are in the NFC, the stacked NFC, loads of teams trying to get in the playoffs. And now this Eastern division, which I like to compare to the AFC really, the Eagles happen to get in and squeeze in there. So They make their way in there. But then you got the interesting parts here, which, I mean, if you look on the Western side, you can scratch the Texans out. The Texans out and the Chiefs out. Two teams that we expect to somewhat easily make the playoffs in the AFC in real life in the NFL here. That would be out because you look at the loads of NFC teams. If they happen to be in that Rocky Mountain division, they would be in. And why I highlighted the Cowboys is because they are tied with the Raiders, but going off tiebreaker in this scenario, the Raiders would get it with that win that they actually have over the Broncos. Obviously, it would be a little different if they played in the same division. They would have the opportunities to play those tiebreaker games. The Cowboys didn't play the Broncos this year, who are in that Rocky Mountains division. The fake, we'll call it Rocky Mountains. All this is fake. Obviously, I'm not taking this super serious. That should be obvious. Before anybody gets the wrong idea, this is just for fun. So those would be the playoff teams. It is just the thing that intrigues me the most, the Texans out because the Saints win a division and the Seahawks and the Vikings are the better team there, and the Chiefs out. It just kind of proves the point that the NFC is that good. You look at the Eastern side, I highlighted the Steelers because they have a tie with the Eagles. The Eagles will win that tiebreaker. Steelers with the loss this year over the Ravens. The Redskins with the win over the Redskins. So they would be in there, but the only teams I had to scratch off, like the Texans and Chiefs, and I did that because they would be in real life and they're out based on the real good NFC teams in the Western. So just get an idea what the playoff picture would look like. This would be the East playoffs. The Patriots would be the 1 seed. The Ravens would be the 2 seed. So that look familiar? Yeah, because that's the AFC right now. That's how it is. Those two teams we think are elite. The Ravens, you could argue, are the best team in football right now. The Colts would get bumped up. It's a little easier for them in this scenario, the fake scenario, the fake NFL, than it would be in real life. So they bump up to the 3 seed and actually win their division. The Panthers, like I said, who are on the outside looking in, but they got a ways to go to actually get in real life. But they would be the 4 seed, and then you got the Bills at 5. You got the Eagles at 6. The Bills should be in. It's kind of like that's realistic in today's NFL. Eagles are on the outside. They're going to have to win that NFC East to be in, it looks like. So it just shows how good the NFC is. You plug the Panthers and the Eagles in with a bunch of AFC teams, the weaker conference, and they all of a sudden become in. So, I mean, those are your seedings. I mean, you can kind of make a scenario out of it. Colts versus Eagles in the first round. I mean, you make the prediction. Either way, Panthers versus Bills, that'd probably be a really good game if it was in Carolina. But then either way, you kind of go back to the point that the Patriots and the Ravens still make it to I was about to say AFC Championship, but the East Championship, which is the same thing. So those are the two teams that are the title contenders, really the only two title contenders here. Colts can make a run. I just don't see them as a title contender at this given moment. So same two teams there. And then you look at which would be the West side, which I compare to the NFC, and you can see why. It's the same exact playoffs if the NFC ended today, except for the Raiders, which the Raiders were in the same fake division as the Cowboys, which it was a tiebreaker. So this very well could be the same exact seeding, the same exact playoff as the NFC, the loaded NFC. I mean, how loaded is it? You see the Seahawks and the Vikings with a 5 and a 6 seed. It's ridiculous. And so you still got the same top-tier contenders up here. A lot of people think the Niners can make the run in the Super Bowl. The Packers can make the run. The Saints, the Seahawks, even the Vikings, even if they're the 6th seed. Home field advantage will be very important in this NFC because it's loaded, and that could be the difference. If you play through the scenario, we'll say Saints over Vikings, Raiders, and Seahawks. You think the Seahawks would win that, proving the point to see that the NFC is dominant. And then whoever you want to pick. I'm not here. I make these predictions constantly throughout the year. I'm not here. This is just an interesting video to predict. But basically, the point was to see that we will get pretty much the same teams in the Super Bowl. If you're a Patriots believer, it's the Patriots. I know a lot of people pick the Patriots and the Saints, so we'll say it's that. You can have the same scenario. The Ravens are the best team in football right now, in my opinion, most people's opinion. So you say you want the Ravens in the Super Bowl, and then you can throw the Niners or the Packers in there, or it's the Seahawks or the Vikings, whatever it may be. It's a very realistic Super Bowl. So it kind of proves the point that something very similar lines up no matter what, which was obvious, and but that the NFC is much more loaded than the AFC, and we get to see that. But it was just very, very intriguing to see, what this actually can look like if they realigned it to make more sense. Something I was actually talking about with somebody right before the NFL season started. Since I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, so obviously them being in the NFC North. Remember when the Buccaneers used to be in that division? It was the NFC Central. It's something that I just randomly remembered in the offseason. It was the same teams that are in the NFC North, the Vikings, Packers, Bears, Lions, but the Buccaneers were in there. Very strange, very weird how that was once a thing. The Seahawks were in the AFC West. They weren't even in the NFC. So these types of things, not to this, they never go this extreme, but these types of things that happen, we kind of forget about. It just hasn't happened in a while. NFL's been in a pretty good place in terms of the popularity. Not really in a good place in terms of officiating and rule changes, but yeah, and they're. I guess what I'm saying is it's possible things can change, not to this degree, but very, very interesting to think about, and then we forget how the divisions changed actually in the past. So just an interesting video I wanted to do because I thought, why not? But we got more realistic videos on this channel with predictions for every game every week. We got score predictions. We got recast power rankings. We covered the draft with mock drafts, draft fits. We did that video recently, and we talked about free agency as well. But all kinds of content here, so please subscribe, click that like button, join us for our other videos. Thank you for watching this one. Goodbye.